Hey everyone, today's lesson is going to be over tropisms. So, our learning objective is we're going to describe the interactions of structures within plant systems that perform the function of response. So, what is a tropism? A tropism is just a plant growth response to an external stimulus. So, plants are not isolated, so they can still respond to something else that's external to them, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So tropisms are always caused by a group of hormones that we call auxins, and so they can have multiple effects on a plant, which includes promoting stem growth, inhibiting root growth, stimulating cell elongation, and aiding in fruit formation. So auxins are a very, very important group of hormones that are used in a lot of different processes that plants have. So the first tropism we're going to look at is called geotropism, or sometimes called gravitropism. So this is the plant's response to gravity. And there's two different ways. You can actually be positive or negative for geotropism. So positive geotropism is going to include the roots. So roots always are going to grow downwards. Even if I set this plant on its side, the roots are instinctively going to grow down because generally down is where the water is, and that's what the sole purpose of roots is to be able to pick up water and nutrients. On the other hand, we have negative geotropism, which more often than not includes the shoot systems, things like the stem and leaves, which are going to grow up, right? They need to grow up in order to expose the leaves to more light. And so that's why you have different parts of the plant that could be either positively or negatively geotropic. The next type of tropism we have is phototropism. So this is the plant's response to light, and it's caused by an unequal distribution of auxin, that hormone that we mentioned before. So what happens is auxin concentrates away from the light source, causing elongation of those cells. And then it appears that the plant grows towards the light. So many people have done this before. If you turn a plant, it's naturally going to start moving a little bit towards whatever that light source is. If it's outdoors, that's going to be the sun. If you have an indoor plant, this could even happen with another light source that you have. So based on this picture down at the bottom, you can see all of these auxin molecules. So these are the hormones that are decently spaced out. Well, when the sun is shining on it, they actually start to move away from the sun. And we know that one of the effects that auxin can have is cell elongation. So these cells that have all of this concentrated auxin are going to start to elongate. So it's not necessarily that the plant is growing towards the light, it's that the certain cells where the auxin is are just elongating, causing it to appear as if it is growing towards the light. The next type of tropism we're going to look at is thigmotropism. So this is the response to contact with another object. So many times plants will move towards another nearby object. This is especially evident in vining plants. If you have some sort of vining plant and it sees something around it, it's going to start circling or touching that object that is next to it. And so a lot of plants undergo this thigmotropism. The next type of tropism we have is called hydrotropism. So this is just the growth of plants towards water. Now, why would this be important? Well, we know water is essential for plants to be able to grow. So this is really just looking at the root system and how it is going to try and find water underground wherever it can and move the roots towards that. And then finally, we have nastic movement. So nastic movement is actually not based on a stimulus. So all of the other tropisms that we've talked about had stimuli. So phototropism had light, hydrotropism had water, thigmotropism had touch, and geotropism was gravity. So nastic movement is not based on any one of those. For example, some plants just close up when touched. That doesn't have to do with a stimulus. This is just a mechanism that a plant undergoes to appear less appealing to animals that may want to eat the leaves. So while it is some sort of response to an outside stimulus, it is not based upon the direction of the stimulus. All of the other ones are moving towards or away from something. This one is just trying to have some sort of movement, but it doesn't matter where you were to touch this plant. At any point, if you were to touch this plant, it's going to immediately fold up to look less appealing and try and increase its survivability. So that's all that I have for you for this lesson, and go explore further.